Hi, I'm Dr. Jim Lowe.
I'm Lee Rinker with the Department of Animal Sciences, where I serve as a livestock judging coach and youth livestock outreach coordinator at the University of Illinois. I'm sure by now you've heard about African swine fever, but what does it mean to the show pig producer? And so Dr. Lowe, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about African swine fever.
Thanks, Lee. So African swine fever is a virus. It's a really big virus, actually. It's the biggest virus we know of, and it only infects pigs. It causes a high fever in these pigs, and many of them die. Now, it's not in the United States, but it is in other places of the world, and it's a regulated disease, meaning that if we get it in the United States, it'll have big implications on our ability to move pigs and have trade with other countries. So economically, it's really important to the swine industry. And as an individual producer, it's really important because it really limits what we can do moving our pigs. Whether those are commercial pigs or show pigs, we're just going to have to change how we behave if it's introduced into this country.
What happens if ASF hits the United States?
Lee, that's really the big challenge if it gets here. So when it shows up in the US, they're going to have a 72-hour stop movement order. So the first detected disease, we're not going to be able to move any pigs for 72 hours. And then within regions where it's detected, all movement will be controlled. Now, we don't know how big those regions are going to be. They could be quite large. But once we have to go to controlled movements, we can't move animals between premises without a permit, and that permit is going to be based upon having a premise ID and then some testing. So there's going to be big restrictions on what's going to happen if it shows up here. So if you think about it, if we've got the Illinois State Fair and we've got thousands of pigs at the state fair and we have an outbreak, we're going to have to figure out how to manage those pigs at the state fair and keep them there, or any of the other shows we have. So being prepared is going to be really important because we're not going to be able to do what we normally do once African swine fever is detected.
So it's really going to greatly impact our ability to move pigs and will impact my business that I could have. As a show pig producer, how can I be prepared?
Lee, I think this preparedness thing is really the key for us. And it doesn't matter what kind of pigs you have. And it's really important that we remember that a pig farm is a pig farm and a pig farm in the face of a foreign animal disease outbreak. So whether you've got 1 million sows or one sow, we're going to treat it the same. And that's what's really important. So the preparedness for show pig producers is really the same as what the preparedness is going to be for commercial producers. So there's 4 key steps. 1, I need a premise ID, and that's a national premise ID, and you can get that from the State Department of Ag and Dr. Ernst's office. So you need to get that premise ID and make sure it's verified. That's going to tell us where's the location, and that's important to move pigs. If I don't have that premise ID, I can't move pigs off my farm. So whether I'm selling some barrows or taking pigs to a show, I can't move them unless I've got that premise ID. The second thing is I need to, because there may be some indemnity from the government, I need to get what's called a DUNS number, or a Dun and Bradstreet number, and a number from the US government so I can receive those payments. Now, all this information is right here in this guide provided by Illinois pork producers on how to obtain that information. Third, I need to have a biosecurity plan. And I think that's really important because it's not just kind of what we would think of as routine biosecurity on a big commercial farm, like I need showers and all that stuff. It's really, how do we limit movement on and off sites? So you need to work with your veterinarian to get that done. And certainly if your veterinarian isn't comfortable with that, they can reach out to us here at the university and we're happy to help them work through that process. And the state, or the Illinois pork producers, will help you do that. And finally, I need to be prepared to do permits. And so there's a process to pre-prepare. And again, this is about movement when we've got under these restricted deals. So there's a form you can fill out ahead of time. So if somebody shows up to buy show pigs from you and you don't have the permit filed, they can't take those pigs. So I've got to be prepared ahead of time. And we don't think that process is going to be terrible, but if we're prepared, we know it's going to go easier.
Well, that's great information. And if you're looking for more information on how to mitigate African swine fever, you should have received a booklet from Illinois Pork Producers Association office. But if you haven't received that resource and are looking for other resources, you can reach out to Illinois Pork Producers Association and they would be happy to give you those resources.